If you're a special education teacher, you know that the Individualized Education Plan, or IEP, is pretty much the center of your universe. It's the roadmap for every student's success. But there's a huge administrative burden that comes with it, one that's often completely invisible to the outside world. So today, we're going to dive into how technology is trying to solve one of the biggest challenges in education.
Okay, let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. An IEP is not just a suggestion, it is a legally binding document. Seriously, that means every single goal, every progress note, every accommodation, it all carries the full weight of the law. And as you can imagine, that raises the stakes not just for the teacher, but for the entire school district. So what does that legal pressure look like in the real world? Well, it looks like time, a lot of time. We're talking an average of 42 minutes every single day that special ed teachers spend just collecting and logging student data for these IEPs. Think about that. That's time that's often stolen from their prep periods, or even worse, from their own personal time. And the cost of getting that data wrong? It's staggering. If a district's data isn't compliant and it leads to a legal challenge, just one day of an impartial hearing can cost up to $4,200. And that number doesn't even touch the other costs, like hiring substitutes or potentially paying for outside tuition if the district loses the case. Ouch. All of this brings us to what I like to call the IEP data dilemma. It's this daily tug of war that teachers are caught in. On one side, you have this critical, super time-consuming legal requirement. And on the other, you have your actual job, teaching kids. And when you lay it all out, you really start to see the perfect storm brewing. You've got this legal mandate that eats up nearly an hour a day. On top of that, many districts don't even have a standardized system for it, so everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. That inconsistency creates a ton of pressure, which, you guessed it, can lead to shaky data and those incredibly expensive legal headaches. But what if the solution to this problem didn't come from some corporate boardroom? What if it came directly from the classroom? Well, this is where the story pivots from the problem to a solution that was built by someone who was actually living this dilemma every single day. And this quote, this really says it all. The creator, Michael Radicone, is a resource room teacher. He wasn't just some developer trying to imagine a teacher's problems. He is a user. He built the exact tool he needed to fix his own daily grind. And that gives it a kind of real-world authenticity you just can't manufacture. So what did he build? He built Datability Web. At its core, it's a platform designed to take this entire messy process and just streamline it. It uses AI and some really clever web tools to automate all the tracking and, maybe most importantly, turn all that raw data into visual insights you can understand at a glance. Okay, so how does it actually make things simpler? Let's take a look under the hood at the core functions that transform this massive manual task into something that's actually, manageable. The whole workflow is beautifully simple. First, you set up your student roster and plug in their IEP goals. Then, the system basically becomes your personal assistant, pinging you with reminders when it's time to add new data. You pop in the student's progress, and boom, the platform does the rest, instantly creating these clear visual graphs. No more hand-drawing charts the night before a big meeting. But here's the real game changer, staying compliant. The pending updates feature is like a safety net. If a teacher has a crazy day and misses an entry, the system flags it. Then, when they go back to enter the data, it automatically backdates it to the correct day. The result? You're literally always in compliance. It's a huge weight off their shoulders. I mean, look at the difference here. It's truly night and day. On one side, you've got the old world of overflowing binders, manual data entry, and that constant anxiety that you've missed something. And on the other, a single, centralized platform with automatic graphing, helpful reminders, and digital uploads. It's a leap from analog chaos to digital clarity. Now, of course, anytime you're dealing with student information, security and privacy are everything. A tool is only useful if a school district can completely trust it. So how does Data Mobility Web handle all that sensitive data and stay on the right side of federal privacy laws? And that brings us to the big one, FERPA. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the major federal law that protects student privacy. Any piece of technology used in a school has to meet its super strict standards. It's completely non-negotiable. So, Datability Web was built from the ground up with FERPA in mind. It works under what's called a school official contract, which is a fancy way of saying the school district always owns and controls its own data. Everything is encrypted, access is locked down based on your role, and there are audit logs to track every move. And here's the most important part. Student data is never, ever sold or used for advertising, period. Their data promise is really simple. They only collect what's absolutely necessary, they only use it for the school's benefit, they only share it with people who are supposed to see it, and they delete it according to the district's rules. It's about as transparent and straightforward as it gets. Okay, so we've seen the problem and we've seen the tool. But what's the actual impact? What happens when this thing gets out into the real world? Well, let's just hear from the people on the front lines. Let's start with the principal's perspective. Rachel Gross uses the word empowered. And notice, it's not just about being faster, it's about being more precise. That goes right back to the legal side of things. It's about improving the quality and the defensibility of the data. And here's the lawyer's take. Attorney Timothy Mahoney connects the dots for us perfectly. Having the right data organized and collected properly is your best shield against those massive legal fees we talked about. It's a direct line to reducing financial risk. You know, this quote from a teacher might just be the most powerful one of all. Let's be real. If a tool is clunky or hard to use, teachers just aren't going to use it. The fact that someone who says they aren't a tech person found it so easy that they ditched their entire paper-based system, that's the ultimate testimonial. So what's the bottom line here? Well, it looks a lot like this chart. As soon as teachers start using the tool, the time they spend on data collection just plummets. At the exact same time, their level of legal compliance skyrockets. It's the dream scenario. You're doing less work for way better, more reliable results. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. By taking on the administrative grunt work and all the compliance stress, a tool like this gives educators their freedom back. It lets them shift their energy away from paperwork and back to where it always should have been, on their students. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. When you take a 42-minute daily administrative chore off a teacher's plate, what else becomes possible? When the technology is handling the paperwork, what new levels of creativity and connection can our best educators unlock for their students? Pretty exciting to think about, isn't it?